Hello, how are you doing then, eh? The new year has started. Very confusing what the days are at the moment. It's Saturday today, by the way, if you're watching in the future. Or if you're watching today, you might like to know that it's Saturday, because I certainly didn't. We get our rubbish, our garbage collected on a Tuesday. And for some reason, I woke up this morning about 6:30 a.m. and you have to have the rubbish out by 7 here to make sure it gets collected. And I just thought, oh wow, it's Tuesday, I've got to put the rubbish out. So I broke the ice off the car and managed to drive to the top of the hill, which was really difficult actually, because at that time in the morning it was frozen solid. But I got up there, put the bags out, came back, looked at my iPhone, realised it's Saturday. So we're sort of doing that back to life, back to reality thing at the moment, because it's just so crazy. You'd think when it's been New Year's Day, it just reset my mind to Monday for some reason. Anyway, it is Saturday, so we'll do a Saturday spread. It's a pick a card, and for each card, we'll pull a couple more cards to get some significance on that. Okay, so 1 second, let me just turn the camera around and we'll have a look at my temporary tarot table, my usual table that I do spreads on. It's got a hinge loose and it kind of came off on one side and I haven't fixed it yet. So a temporary tarot table coming up. So these are the decks we're going to use. We'll use the absolutely massive, enormous, huge, giant Sirian Starseed Tarot. Okay, that's going to be our main tarot deck. There's just about enough room to get 5 cards here. And we'll use the Work Your Light Oracle to get some more significance as we go. But let's start off with a bit of an old shuffle and see what we get from this one. These cards are absolutely massive, but I do love them. And, they've got all the traditional tarot meaning to them, but in a slightly different way. Look at the size of that deck. It's kind of taking up the whole world as I look at it here. Okay. Still haven't come up with a new name for the channel yet, but I'm always trying. Let's take some out of the middle and kind of do a bit of kind of back to frontage there. You know what, I'm just going to cut the deck and choose them that way, because I'm sure the guides know what's going on. Okay, so here is, oh dear me, it's taking ages. So card number 1, card number 2, card number 3. Let's just line them up as best I can. Card number 4 and card number 5. Okay, I know that's not what you'd call a proper sort of spread. It's a strange layout. It's not exactly a horseshoe, is it? But that's just the way it's meant to be. Horseshoes mean something. And for some reason today, I'm guided to do it this way. And I've only got this tiny little table. So what have we got then? Card number 1. Let's turn this over and take a look. Did you pick number 1? If you did, it's the Chariot. So things are really happening, and goodness me, it's an actual card in this deck that's got its traditional name. It's number 7 in the Major Arcana. So you are going places, my friend, in 2021, because it's 2021 now. I think a lot of us are kind of very glad it isn't 2020 anymore. Who knows what this year is going to bring, but it's taken you on a journey. And actually, it's going to take us all on a journey. That's just life. That's the way it happens. Here we've got quite a cosmic scene here, but not as much symbolism as you often find in unusual tarot decks about the Chariot here. There are 5 horses pulling though, so we've definitely got the sort of 5-pointed energy going on here. Almost like a pentagram coming into being with this one. So it's a mystical journey for absolute certain, because these 5 horses represent the 5 points of the pentagram. So it's earth, air, fire and water working together under the guidance of the divine. And interestingly, all of those are showing up as the same thing in this card. They're all kind of, pretty much the same symbol, aren't they? They look very similar. They're looking in different ways, but it's all the same horse. And this is an interesting point about life, and the spiritual life, most certainly. Because whether you're an air sign, an earth sign, a fire sign, or a water sign, you're all kind of the same thing, and you know, the divine is actually a part of us, so it doesn't look all that different. The divine is, you know, a great powerful force that exists out there in the universe, and seems very far from us sometimes, but we have a big chunk of the divine within each of us. In fact, I would turn that around and say that a big chunk of each of us is actually the divine. So when you follow the divine, it's a lot to do with self-knowledge, like the Hindus said, and I can see some similarities here with Hindu mythology, for sure. The flag is flying up here, but it's a bit of a tattered flag, and it's, you know, you can just about see the moon through it. So all the, you know, the worldly symbols of success and everything that we have are all in some way related to, and at the same time eclipsed by what's going on in the cosmos. It's a very fiery kind of a journey here as well, we can see, because it's almost as if the horses on this side are going across like molten lava, and it's cooled down a bit on this side, but it's still very, very golden and no doubt very, very hot. So it might be a bit of a torturous path through 2021. I suspect it might be, actually. I've been looking at the astrology of 2021. I want to make a video about it, but there is so much going on, it is untrue, and it's going to take me quite a bit more research to get there. So that'll be in the next couple of days, no doubt. But, you know, there's a lot of potential for change out there, I guess is what I'm saying. And there's a lot of potential for conflict as well. But whenever you get potential for conflict, there's the potential to resolve a conflict along with it. Okay, so there we have card number 1. Stars gleaming in the sky all over the place. And a cloud up here as well. But it is the only cloud in the sky, and it's a rather crystal-looking cloud. So any troubles that come up are going to be able to be solved mystically, because, to be honest, you know, mysticism is just about the only thing that we've really got that can bring change into the world and can make things happen. So I'm having a shuffle now of another deck, and I'm saying, tell us more about the Chariot in this 5-card Saturday spread right at the beginning of 2021. And this is the one that's come out. Deep replenishment. It says retreat, rest, be held. And so here's me talking about the wild journey we're going on, all the correspondences between you know, earth and heaven, people and the divine, and how those things link up. Well, it is a lot of crazy energy, isn't it? So retreat, rest, be held. That's kind of the other side of the coin in a way I almost wasn't expecting there. It's much cooler, you know, we've got water at the bottom of the scene instead of molten lava, but opposites kind of go together. And I think when we get to the other side of life, when our time comes and we go across the divide, as it were, I think we're actually going to understand that much better than we ever can understand it from a worldly perspective. Here we've got more of a crescent moon showing here. We've got a sort of full moon image with the Chariot, but the thing always goes in cycles, of course, and as we look at the year ahead, there are going to be cycles. There are going to be 12 moon cycles as we go through it. There are going to be planetary retrogrades as well as planetary goings forward. So there are always going to be contrasts, and this is what, if you pick card number 1, you're going to really need to remember as that journey unfolds, as things go along. You're going to need to take time to just kind of ground yourself as much as anything, and think about the flowing water of life, that it's always bringing a flow of abundance, and at the same time it's cooling things off, it's calming things down, and it's very sort of restful, you know, it's a very, very positive energy with it. We've got cactuses here, but they don't look at all spiky. So take a rest from this spiky cactus that can be life sometimes. That's the advice. And as sometimes it's going to be full moon, full on energy, everything happening, at times it's also going to be this crescent moon and things are going to be just that bit more gentle. So take advantage of those times, you know, to actually retreat from the world, to actually rest and be held. Well, it's always nice to be held if you've got a relationship and a supportive partner and everything, but the universe is trying to hold us all the time. It's always got our back. So lean back on the universe. Feel good about that if you can. And if you would struggle with the idea of feeling good about a thing like that, try to kind of put that struggle to one side and just accept it. There are no hard and fast definitions of exactly what this wonderful force of the universe is, because it's in the other side of life. It's just not obvious a lot of the time, and just as when we go on this spiritual journey, we don't actually know where the chariot is going to take us. We don't actually know where the replenishment, where the rest, the retreat, and where the being held is actually going to come from. But that's something you'll see with the third eye so much more clearly than you'll ever see it with the round things at the top of your face. So that, my friends, is card number 1. So we'll turn this one back over just for now. We'll go over them all again at the end. We'll put this one with it because it goes with it, and we'll come on to card number 2, which is right in the middle. And it is number 6, Major Arcana energy again, and it is the Lovers. Number 6 in the Major Arcana. So if you picked all 5, we've, numerologically speaking, got to step back at this point. The numerology of 2021 is, of course, 5. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus another 2 is 4, plus another 1 is 5. So 5 is the numerological kind of state of the year 2021. We're on 6. We started with 7. It's the Lovers, and this is, you know, a great card if you pick this card and you're actually looking for a loving relationship with another human being. That's a great thing, and I'd probably have a much bigger channel by now if I did readings that were all based on the sort of most obvious side of things. But there are 2 sides to love. You know, we've got the Lovers in terms of actually meeting another person or deepening an existing relationship with a human being, physical contact, that side of it. And we've also got the union of souls showing through here. You know, the great thing it is to touch another soul, and you know, when people are in that position, they become aware that there's a higher thing than physical love. And actually, very often, physical love does go with it at the same time. The two can't be separated, to be quite honest. It is sort of 2 sides to the same coin. There's everything... excuse me, there's everything spiritual about love, and there's everything physical about love. And they go together, and I'm really confident in saying that, because if you actually think about what love is, it needs no food, it needs no sustenance other than the fact that it is. And as a spiritualist medium, when we find a connection to the other side of life, as it were, people often wonder, well, you know, how can the soul go on after the body has passed? Surely the soul is put into the body to make it what it is. And there's a lot of truth in that. I mean, that is why everyone has a soul, for sure. But the body is subject to decay. The body needs food. The body needs not to get into an accident. All of those things, those physical things, are essential to the body. But if we try to describe love, when I say to you love, or if I said I loved somebody, you'd know exactly what I meant by that, I'm sure. And I'd know exactly what I meant by it as well if I said it. But how could we actually write down what is love? Very difficult to actually find. I mean, poets have been doing it for a long time. There are many kind of poems and things been written down about what love is, but none of it's scientific. You can't pin down exactly what love is, but we know what it means in our own hearts. So there's that physical love between 2 people who've met and they're in the same kind of place in life and maybe in the same part of the world. Things add up for them and they're together. We all need that at one level or another. Some people need it less than others, but it's something that we all need to experience in our life. And on the other hand, there is the divine, universal sort of love, a lot like I was saying about this card as well. So the Lovers, this is actually a very positive thing to be coming up in the year ahead. Does represent a slight step back from the number 7 here, if you're looking at this as a 5-card spread, which, you know, you can do that. You just pick a card or pick all 5. That's how it works. But, you know, relationships, commitments, love, passion, twin flame, all of those things, they all add up to it. They're all a part of it. So let's have a look in here and ask for a significatory card, please. Tell us some more about the Lovers in this reading. For anyone who picked card number 2, or for anyone who picked all 5, that we're doing right here at the beginning of 2021. And what we have is Transformation, look at that. And love and transformation really do go together in a big way, actually. They're two things that they also go hand in hand. Just like divine love and worldly love go hand in hand, transformation is always going to come from love. And this shows that you can't sort of get involved with another person, or whether that's at soul level or physical level, without some kind of diluting between the two people, between the two characters. It's bound to happen. Relationships that go wrong, or relationships that just aren't rewarding and don't help anybody, they're where someone's trying to resist the dilution, where someone's saying, well, no, thank you very much, I'm happy as I am, and just not wanting to go along with each other on that level. But this card, well, it says on it, things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing. Now, get that, it's not saying that things are going to change, it's saying things are changing at a cellular level, deep healing now. It's actually going on now. The thing to do is let your mind tune into it. I was going to say tune into it, but just let your mind tune into it. Old patterns come up, the past, I'm always saying, is old news, but it's very close to what we're actually thinking about in the present. It's very close to the way we act and the way we react to things that go on in our lives. We've got Saturn and Black Madonna and the African goddess Ocean are all influencing this card here in the symbol, the symbol. Oh, the symbolism of it. There we are. I'll have to drink some water in a second. Saturn is representing destruction and transformation. That's, very often there is some destruction goes on with transformation. And that's why it's so important to abandon the old patterns. The Black Madonna representing the underground and everything that's been cast aside. Because as I was saying, no matter what we cast aside, it's always going to have been part of our life experience. It's going to be somewhere in the mix there. And then Ocean representing the real kind of kind-hearted, deep, motherly love that we've all well, at least I hope we've all experienced in our lives. I realise it isn't that way for everybody, but I think even those people who've never experienced that would have some understanding in their heart of what it should be, and maybe even what it could be. Now, very close to the idea of love, this card, actually. It's very appropriate to it. You might actually have to see this is the relationship with your own body as well. This is why we try and give the body love. This is why, as I've just recently done, I've bought one of those water bottles and you have to drink so much an hour, and that way you kind of look after your body better. I'm always trying to do that. I think we probably all are. Life is a dear thing, and it does depend on the physical strength of the body. So maybe you need to shift your diet, your exercise regime, get more exercise or whatever, get a Fitbit and count the steps and see how much walking you do. I think that would worry the life out of me if I did that, actually, because I live on the side of a mountain and I do a fair bit of physical work, but I don't tend to walk very far because it's seriously exhausting and not a little bit dangerous if I'm not careful, actually. But one way or another, get that exercise done. It's all part of actually replenishment, because when you exercise, and even if you become exhausted but in some way become tired, then you draw in the need, you have more of an appetite to eat, and you have more keenness on finding that things that are good for you. So let yourself actually receive that deep healing and allow that transformation to happen at that cellular level. And of course, it is all tied up with love. This is self-love. I'm really seeing self-love in this card a lot here. But then again, even in, loving another person, you've got to love yourself a bit. The reason love feels so good in a really good relationship, or, at the beginning of a relationship particularly, the reason it feels so good is that it's actually doing something for you at a cellular level and also deep within the mind. Okay. So that is the Lovers. Let's turn that one over again. No doubt we'll come back and have a look at all five together as we get closer to the end. But for now, what is card number 3? It is abundance. And it's number 3 in the major arcana. This is what we would normally call, we would normally call this card the Empress. We've got this beautiful symbol here that we see on the backs of all the cards, a triangle of energies, really, and that goes with it being the number 3, of course. And the Empress is so closely associated with resources, and when we talk about abundance, we're really looking for more resources. Question is always, what kind of abundance would we like? And it doesn't always go the way we want it to. It's a fact of life, This card is sort of merging the focused and clear intent of the indigo energy, the energy that looks within ourselves and yet is sort of very much an outer thing and transforms such a lot. That is merging with the wisdom, I suppose, of the higher self. That's a problem that a lot of indigo children in particular have faced, and there are indigo adults about, no two ways about that for sure, but people listen to adults more. It's a bit more of a battle for indigo children for sure. And I did say in a recent video that I think some indigo children, well, some children are called indigo children and they don't really have that energy. It's just there's some kind of bad parenting got in there somehow. I hope I'm not offending anybody there, but there really are indigo children. I've met them, I've been privileged to work with them. There's one in particular, a little girl at a spiritualist church that I went to, quite a few years ago now. I haven't been there to any of the churches for a long time because of the great disease that's going around the planet at the moment. But I went there and she was just kind of bored listening to the medium, So I gave her my diary and a pen, and I turned to the back of the diary where there were some blank pages, and I just handed it to her in the pen. I said, "Go on, draw me a picture, darling. Let's see what you can draw for me." And when she handed it back to me at the end of the service, she'd actually gone back into the diary part of the book, and she'd chosen a page and drawn a picture on it, which is a picture of my house, which she's never ever seen. And even more amazing thing about that is that the page she'd chosen was the same day as my daughter's birthday. Just incredible, one of those psychic things that you almost, you absolutely can't define, but somehow, it just happened, and there's no disbelieving it when you actually see it. So, I mean, there was an amazing indigo child who actually drew all these things together. Countless oceans, countless worlds. Abundance isn't just the kind of things we wish for in this life, in this worldly sense. It is actually showing us that the whole universe is an abundant thing, and even though we don't know about them yet, there are so many other worlds. We're beginning to know about them. We know about, for example, this is the Sirian Starseed deck. We know about the Pleiadians. For example, we know there are other energies, other civilizations, other worlds out there in the universe that we can access so readily by meditation, I suppose is the best way. So this card, if you pick this one, which is number 3, I don't know if I've laid them out in a funny way, hoping that the camera won't flip them round. I hope this works from left to right, but I'm not sure. This was the 3rd card I pulled out anyway. And that's the abundance of different ways there are of doing tarot spreads, I suppose. But the source of all life, this is what it's all about. It is infinitesimally abundant. And rhythm, there's always a rhythm going on. And when you think of that, there are many rhythms. There's the rhythm of the sea, there's the rhythm of everyday life. And when I talk about meditation, I'm very often telling people, try and meditate on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be the same time every day on the clock, but it has to be in the same part of your life every day, because time is just a construct. It's just something that we've come up with to order our day and attempt to make sense of things. But in reality, the nearest thing there is to time in the universe is just that there's a rhythm, and I'm sure if we actually eventually develop science that's strong enough to know what's going on with the planets and, find a pattern in the way that stars die out and new stars are born, I'm sure we'll find a rhythm to it. And to meditate and to really get in touch with abundance, we need to meditate, and we need to do it in that regular kind of way, because as we establish our own rhythm, we establish a rhythm that the universe knows all about and understands. And that is you know, that's just a great thing, because that brings us so closely into tune with everything that's going on. And I do mean everything, you know, because some of what's going on is seen, some of what's going on is unseen, all the way. That's always how it goes. Okay, anyway, in terms of numbers, we've sort of taken another step back, but that's an interesting step back, this one, because we've gone from 7 to 6, which kind of has a balance about it, even though it's a step back, and now we've got 3, which is like half of 6, so there's that side to it. And there's also just the fact that 3 is an amazing number. We've got this 3-sided pattern on the backs of all the cards here. We've got this 3, this symbol of 3 curls, and as well as their traditional meaning, this always makes me think of healing, you know. This is a lot like the shamanic healing symbol, a little bit like the Reiki symbol as well. What's it called? Shoku-rei, that one. That kind of curved nature, it gets in and out of all of the parts of the body and everything that matters, and it kind of shows that it's not just, I mean, there's the world we understand, there's the world we don't understand, and there's a whole nother world that we don't even know we're supposed to understand. And that's kind of how it goes in the 3s. So what have we got to go with card number 3? It is this one. It is Unbound. Let's put it there so we can see them both. Releasing soul patterns, contracts, and past lives. And this is a big part of abundance, of course, because we're not actually going to get any further with the abundance that we manifest if we don't release those soul patterns and contracts and past lives. And this has been a big battle for me as I've gone through my what I suppose I'd call it my psychic career. I mean, I think I've always been psychic. I'm sure that all of us who do this always have had that gift within us somewhere and have had to somehow bring it out into the future. But at times in the early days, I found there were things I just couldn't do, whole areas of it that I just couldn't explore. And so much of it goes back to things that kind of forced my third eye shut. And Liz was saying, you know, Liz Crafts was telling me that something very similar happened to her. It's a real unfortunate thing, but sometimes, particularly when we're children, particularly when we're indigo children, actually, it becomes harder and harder to really explore anything we're seeing, because the other people around us, maybe for the best reasons, maybe out of love, just think it's something mad and something we shouldn't really be looking at because it's crazy and it's nuts. But we've got to leave all that behind. We've really got to unbound, and that's the only way to actually make the most of abundance and to actually enjoy abundance for what it is. You've got to release all the old soul stories, all the vows, the contracts, the patterns that aren't actually aligned with who you came here to be in the present time. You'll always carry the lessons, the growth and the gifts. In other words, you'll carry the lessons and the love. But you've got to choose that you're not going to live the same old story. Doesn't mean you've got to live in a completely different way. You've come to this point, to this time of realization because of however you've been living in recent times. So this is a little bit different from totally trying to transform your life and changing everything. But if at this point, now you've come to this point and realized it, if you can release these soul patterns, these contracts and these past lives, then you're really going to key into the abundance and you're going to go places super fast. If you pick this card, you don't need the Chariot card. You know what I mean? Because you really are going somewhere. Okay, so what is card number 4? Will it be Major Arcana again? They've all been Major Arcana so far. Yes, it is. It's number 11 this time, and it's Divine Justice. So there's a sense of balance, if ever there was one. There is no greater balance than the balance that Divine Justice brings into our lives. Let me just shift these around a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm not cutting the head off any of these. because just not ideal conditions here at the moment, I'm afraid. I'll get my table mended and then we'll be back to normal. But right now, divine justice, and we've got the Libran scales there, you know, hanging nicely in balance. And this lady has no idea what she's actually seeing, what she's actually got in the scales at the moment. But divine justice is like that. It's an unseen power. In other words, it's not something we see with our everyday eyes, but it is a real power nonetheless. And even, you know, just the fact that you're watching a tarot video tells me that you can see some of this. I'm sure you can. I'm sure you've seen this in dreams, and I'm sure you just kind of see it unseeingly with your third eye as you go through life. It's, you know, there's the incredible side of it where there's the eye of God involved with it, that higher authority, and that's where the divine justice thing comes from. But at the same time, it's a very worldly thing to actually wish for, isn't it? You know, I think a lot of what we enjoy about the spiritual life is the knowledge that there is something different. It speaks so powerfully to us in our everyday lives, and it conditions what we see with our everyday eyes in such a way that we can kind of cope so much better with things, really. Something's coming into balance here. Anyway, in numerology, it's number 11, so we're starting to move on. We've got past completion, and if you pick this card, you're kind of beginning a new journey here. And you might not know where you're going, but it doesn't matter because we've got the scales of justice here, so things are balancing out, absolutely for sure. Now, this is sometimes interpreted as a legal matter, something like that. Maybe even a court hearing is coming up in your life. If that's the case for you, then it certainly is showing that that balance is going to come and it's going to be fine and it's going to work for you, you know. But there's also the whole kind of the whole thing of karma, really, in deciding what is actually justice. It's very hard for us to know. Sometimes we've just got to let the universe take care of it. Excuse me. And it's particularly hard to know where we're going in terms of divine justice, because we've all lived many past lives which we don't have ready access to. Now, I believe in past life regression. I was trained to do it, actually, at one point. I've never done it since, because I would only myself want to do it under supervision. That's all I'm really comfortable with. So I do know that we can get access to our past lives, but it's a bit of a randomness as to which past life we get access to, and I'm not sure we'll ever know everything that's actually happened going from one past life to the next. The only thing I do know for sure, because we did it by dowsing, is that, well, a lot of us got together, and someone who was good at dowsing, with dowsing rods rather than a pendulum, sort of rods that cross over when you hit the right answer, found out that we'd all had about 180 lives. I don't know if that pans out across humanity or just in this little part of Wales, but we'd had so many lives. So what is actually just, what is actually meant to happen, what we're actually meant to experience, isn't the easiest thing to tell. Anyway, okay, let's pick a card. Pop them down to tell us a bit more about divine justice. Card number 4 in this reading at the beginning of 2021. Answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? Now, there's a question for you. And this is called an inquiry card. This deck is split up into different sections, and this is an inquiry card. And it really is important to face up to that inquiry as you're going forward through life, as you're trying to make things happen. It's important to remember that whatever guidance you have within yourself is actually divinely guided, and the more spiritual practice you do, the more in touch you will actually get with that idea, and the more sense it'll make to you. But it really is all divinely guided, and what you've got to do is just answer the call of your soul. A scary thing often, you know, because it requires us to leave behind old patterns that we might be very comfortable with. Sometimes, you know, as we're looking for abundance, actually, and looking for things to change for the better, we're thinking of building on what we've already got. But sometimes we've actually got to let go of what we've already got, or at least transform what we've already got to get this balance to happen. So important for divine justice. Bottom line is, if you pick this card and this one to go with it, you're in just the right place to actually answer that calling, whatever your calling is. You don't need to overthink it. In fact, I would say positively don't overthink it. You don't actually need to know the whole plan. You don't need to know where it's heading or anything like that. You just need to take the next step, and I'm sure you'll know what that is. If you don't know what it is, go into meditation. Keep on asking. Ask an angel to help you, to show you, and you will find your way forward. And that's all you need to know, is the way forward, the direction in which to take the next step. You don't need to know the end of it. You just kind of got to trust in divine justice to make that happen. So there is divine justice. Answer the call. Oh, let's have a sort out now. I didn't turn this one back over, did I? Nice to keep everything even and balanced. So I'll put that like that. I'm also going to turn this one over. And now, did you pick card 5 or did you pick all 5? In which case, card number 5 is going to be the outcome card for you. Let's see what it is. It's transition. Really, lots of ideas of transition coming in all the way through this reading. We started with the Chariot. That's a journey somewhere. We've looked at abundance. We've looked at all kinds of things in this reading, actually. And this card is all about transition. And this is number 13. Now, that would actually come up as the Death card in many decks, but it looks a lot more positive than that. We can see someone, has expired physically here and is lying on the altar. And that is a symbol, even, without physical death coming into it. That's a symbol of kind of just giving your whole body and soul over to the divine. Put it on the altar of the divine. You can do that in meditation. You can ask for it to happen. And when you do that, what happens? This. You absolutely fly. In your daily life, you'll fly into the higher chakras, and that will get you flying towards the divine light. A fabulous thing to do. Now, there are so many accounts now of people who've maybe physically died on the operating table, or they've been in an accident or something and they've been brought back, and they all talk about this amazing light. I'm sure that's a real thing. Scientists still want to say, it's something to do with brain function, but so many people have seen this. I'm absolutely sure that this is a real thing. Mediumship bears it out as well. This is what people talk about happening. But let's come away from the idea of physical death at this point, because that's never been what the Death card, what 13 card, is actually meant to be about. It's really about transition, transformation. If we take one of the letter I, that letter I out and put some more letters in, we get transformation. And that really is what transition is all about. That's all, what's meant to happen, what's meant to be happening every day. We're always on our way towards this transition that comes at the end of our physical lives. And spiritually, we're always coming towards the next point of transition, because it's a journey of many, many steps, getting in tune with the spiritual side of ourselves. Many steps indeed. And it's a long journey. It's a lifelong journey. And there is one transition after another coming all the way. Okay. So let's have a shuffle and let's find out a card. Let's find a card that tells us some more about transition in this 5-card spread in January 2021, as we all go into another year that we really seriously hope is going to be a lot more fun than the last one we had. So what have we got? Yes, there we go. And this is it. Just say yes. That's what it says there. Just say yes. And that is fantastic advice, actually, because that is how transition happens. And that is how we not just make a transition, but we attract the next transition. We let the universe know that we're walking this path, that things are always going to be changing, and that we are willing to say yes to it. And that is actually a very big ask for some of us. Some of us are quite happy, quite comfortable where we are. Just as a random example, I've lived in this house where I am now for 30 years. The house has been here for 400 years. I just feel absolutely grounded and at one in this house. I kind of hope I never have to leave it, but I'm always open to the fact that life might take me in a different direction. And because of that, I'm not going to miss out on anything good that might come up. The universe might want to move me somewhere, and I've already got the affirmation that I'm I'm ready for that to happen if it's for the highest good. And if it does happen, I'll trust that it is for the highest, best good, because that's the trust that I've built up. Maybe you need to build your trust up some more, friends. And that's not a crime. That's not a negative thing at all. It's just, meditation and keeping on going on this spiritual journey that we're all embroiled in all the time. It's going to take you further forward, and it's just going to let the universe know that transition after transition, your soul is going to be healing. Your soul is going to be curing. There's an interesting word. It says in the old 1662 Protestant prayer book that the church's, exposure to the Bible, all those kind of churchy things, are meant to cure the soul, for the cure of the soul. And it doesn't mean cure as in healing exactly. It does heal, of course, but it's a slightly different reading of that. It's like curing bacon, or curing glue. It becomes more what it is. It becomes stronger. It becomes, if it's meat, it has a different taste. Maybe some would say a better taste. If it's glue, if it's concrete, wood cures when you dry out wood to burn in the fire. It's a curing process. It's just becoming more appropriate, becoming more in tune with what it's meant to be. And this is what's happening all the way here. The soul is curing. And if you can, say yes to it. Just say yes. Sounds like Nancy Reagan, no, Ronald Reagan, wasn't it? Because Nancy Reagan had this campaign slogan, just say no to drugs. And Ronald Reagan came out and said, just say yes, which I think a lot of us have chuckled about over the years. Anyway, right, let's hastily come away from that idea. Just say yes, okay? Keep on going with that flow, all right? Even when going with the flow makes you think, what? You wasn't expecting that to happen. Keep on going with the flow, okay? Because the universe is the boss, and the universe knows where we're all going. So that is card number 5. Let's have a quick look at all the cards together, because if you picked all 5, which I do invite you to do, you can pick a card or pick all 5. You might like to have a look at them all together. So I'm going to behead these 2, I'm afraid, just to get the other 3 showing the right way. I must get a bigger table, that's the answer. I'll do that very soon. But here we go. Right, so we started off with the Chariot. These are all major arcana cards, by the way, and I didn't have that intent. I was open to any cards coming out as long as they were the right cards for what we're doing today. But we've got major arcana all the way. So we started number 1, the Chariot. That spiritual journey is unfolding. Number 7. Number 6, the Lovers. A step back of numerology for sure. But don't we need all that love, all that light to be in place to really make the most of this spiritual journey we're going on? Well, hopefully, because by then we get to card number 3 and we're down to 3 in numerology. But it's a very magical thing, 3. It's that 3-sided energy. And this actually is the abundance coming from inviting that love, whether it's spiritual love or physical love or both of them working together. It's leading to this abundance. And then that in turn leads us to divine justice, because as card number 3, if I had room for a horseshoe, this one would be right in the middle, and it would be the heart of the matter, abundance, and what a year 2021 is going to be for abundance. It's going to be hard-won abundance, but there's lots of abundance out there to find in 21. So then, divine justice, everything coming into balance, that needs to happen for the abundance to sit right in our lives. And it all brings us to card number 5, transition, to actually fly to the higher chakras, to actually let everyday life fly into the, waxing lyrical here, but fly into the beautiful journey of where the higher self is going. Healing along the way. Look at that purple there. Hope it's coming out purple on the camera. It's certainly coming out purple for me. And it's 13. It's lucky for some. Make it lucky for you. That's the bottom line. Many people fear that number 13, but if you believe it's good for you, then it surely is good for you. And there is our Saturday spread then, first Saturday spread of 2021. Stuff happening with the channel this year, I'm sure. I've got loads of plans. I'm going to do an astrology video pretty soon, maybe even tomorrow actually, but I want to get it researched out before I do it, so to go into all the planetary retrogrades and things. But based on what I've seen so far, on the very sort of beginnings of research. There's loads and loads going on in the early part of the year. It slows down a bit in terms of planetary movements later in the year, but then it's all to play for. There's a lot of change coming up, quite powerful change. It looks a whole lot better than 2020 did, though, and it feels a whole lot better already. So I'm sure we'll all be moving on, and I'm sure life will be improving. But anyway, there is our Saturday spread. Thank you very much for joining. If you'd like to buy me, or as it were, buy the channel a coffee, head to my coffee page. The link is down below there. It's right at the bottom. Well, it's sort of in the middle of the description, really. In the middle, it goes into links to all the good things: Facebook, Twitter, blah blah blah, Reddit, all those different things are linked to down there. Follow me in those places, because sometimes I do things in those places that I don't do on YouTube, so you'll get a bit more out of it. But the top of those good things, it's the link to my coffee page, ko/fi. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, it'll all go into the coffers to improve the channel. That's what it's all about. Anyway, meanwhile, have a fantastic year ahead. I think I've already said Happy New Year about 10 times, but no harm in saying it again. Have a very happy and prosperous 2021, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Love, light, blessings, and peace.